JBN, we keep you informed. Cops seized gun and ammunition in Rivoli, Spanish Town. A team of officers from the Spanish Town police station seized the firearm and 4 rounds of ammunition during an operation in Rivoli, Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Wednesday, July 15. Reports are that about 9:40 p.m., law enforcers were in the area when an open lot was searched and a .38 pistol containing 4.38 rounds of ammunition was found and seized. No one is taken into custody in relation to the seizure. Investigation continues into the development. Female JCF member questioned and released as probe into bend-down killing intensifies. A female member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF was interviewed and later released by investigators as the probe into the brutal gunslaying of 52-year-old clothes vendor Wayne Reed at the Falmouth Bend-Down Market in Trelawney last week intensifies. Investigation is proceeding smoothly. A particular individual who was in a dispute with the vendor, that individual has been interviewed and statements taken, but no arrest has been made, an impeccable police source revealed. Reed, who was of a Church Street, Lucy, Hanover address, reportedly had a physical confrontation with a female hours before he was gunned down. Shortly after the killing, the police indicated that they'll be trying to establish if the killing stemmed from the conflict. We believe that this incident is stemming from the earlier confrontation. It is to be investigated, but at this stage, that is the current avenue of investigation that we're pursuing the most. We're also trying to identify the female with whom he had the fight. A senior investigator said shortly after the killing. We have since learned that the woman with whom Reed had the dispute is a member of the JCF. Reports are that about 6:30 a.m. Reed and the female vendor had a heated argument that escalated into a fight after she parked her motor vehicle in front of the area where he plied his wares. It is further reported that the woman refused to move, even after Reed indicated that her motor vehicle was blocking his goods on display. Sources claim that the female used a machete to inflict several blows to Reed after he used his hand to slap her across the face. An investigator said that following the incident, the woman left the scene. Shortly after midday, a man, allegedly posing as a shopper outside the market, signaled Reed to the chain link fence as is customary. As Reed moved closer to the fence, the man reportedly brandished a handgun and shot him in the chest. He was taken to the Falmouth Public General Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Cops and gunmen in shootout near airport. A heated gun battle between law enforcers in Montego Bay and a group of heavily armed men in the vicinity of the Sangster International Airport yesterday afternoon ended with 2 of the men being taken into custody. The police have not yet released the identities of the men, but say both are flanker addresses in the second city. A search has also been launched for 2 other men who managed to shoot their way free from the scene. Reports by the police are that shortly after 3:30 p.m., a police team was on patrol in the White House community when they intercepted a motor car with 4 men on board. On seeing the lawmen approaching, the men brandished high-powered weapons and opened fire at the police, which resulted in a chase and heated gun battle lasting for more than an hour. The lawmen called for backup, resulting in 2 of the gunmen being captured and the 2 others managing to escape. 2 illegal firearms and several rounds of ammunition were taken from the men. A police source said that the men are believed to be members of a gang operating out of Flanker. Errol Chateau, the Director of Complaints at the Independent Commission of Investigations Western Office, said that a team of investigators from the commission have visited the scene and have commenced an investigation into the incident. We have responded to the circumstances which led to the exchange of gunfire between gunmen and the police in the White House community in Montego Bay, and which resulted in 2 men being taken into custody and 2 firearms seized, Chateau said. The investigation is still at an early stage, so we cannot give a full statement at this time. J.C. Hutchinson stripped, reassigned. The embattled minister with responsibility for agriculture in the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, J.C. Hutchinson, has been stripped of his responsibilities by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Hutchinson has been reassigned to the office of the Prime Minister. Holness has also instructed that the Holland estate be turned over to the Agricultural Investment Corporation, AIC. The development comes as Hutchinson tried all week to defend himself amidst the latest scandal to hit the Holness administration, as he has been implicated in the Holland Lands lease saga, which also involves his common-law wife and son. Despite his earlier denials, it emerged via a letter that Hutchinson had instructed the Sugar Corporation of Jamaica, SCJ, to transfer at least 1,400 acres of the 2,400-acre Holland estate in St. Elizabeth to Holland Producers, a company in which Hutchinson's partner, Lola Marshall Williams, reportedly has a 50% stake. The arrangement would see Holland Producers conducting due diligence for a year, and as such, no lease was to be paid to the SCJ during the period. However, it also emerged that Holland Producers nonetheless charged a lease of $9,000 per acre from the 184 farmers who occupied holdings on the property. Hutchinson's son Jason also operates a farm store on the property, but Hutchinson has claimed he had no knowledge of this. Additionally, Marshall Williams is also a board member of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, giving rise to claims of conflict of interest, nepotism, and corruption. After remaining silent for a week, Holness announced Friday afternoon that he had reassigned Hutchinson to the OPM following talks with the minister. He also had talks with Audley Shaw, who heads up the ministry. He described the talk with Hutchinson as frank and meaningful. Our discussions centered on an examination of the general details of the transactions in question, the policy intent behind the transactions, and the administrative and legal requirements of such transactions, analyzed against the ethical standards and code of conduct of ministers outlined in Ministry Paper Number 19, Holness said. He said that at the conclusion of the meeting, Hutchinson reaffirmed his commitment to the principles of good governance, ministerial responsibility, and the standards set out in the Code of Conduct. Holness added that from his discussions with Shaw and Permanent Secretary Dermon Spence, I am satisfied that the intent of Minister Hutchinson's actions, which were to make former sugar lands available to small farmers, was in keeping with Government of Jamaica policy. Holness acknowledged that despite Hutchinson's intentions, there were clear breaches of established procedures in implementation to provide for transparency, competition, and disclosure. The parliamentary opposition had called for Hutchinson's resignation as both minister and member of parliament. Child among 3 seriously injured in Clarendon crash. A child is among 3 people who sustained serious injuries following a 2-vehicle collision along the Bustamante Highway in Clarendon this morning. Eyewitness reports are that shortly after 11 a.m., a Honda motor car was traveling westerly towards Manchester, when upon reaching a section of the roadway, the vehicle collided with a Toyota Noah at an intersection. The child, who according to eyewitnesses is a boy, was flung from the motor car upon impact. A man and a woman who were aboard the car were also injured. All 3 were rushed to the Mapen Hospital. Attorney Peter Asher booked on a number of fraud-related charges. 53-year-old Peter Asher, an attorney at law, is facing several fraud-related charges after being picked up by detectives from the fraud squad of the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch on Thursday, July 16. Asher, who resides on Norbrook Drive, St. Andrew, was charged with forgery, conspiracy to forge National Lubricants and Fuels Limited's company seal, 7 counts of instrument of transfers, and 7 counts of causing property to be transferred by means of forged documents. The charges arose from a ruling by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, ODPP. Asher was bailed on his own surety in the sum of $1 million and is to appear in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday, August 4. Woman bypassed meter to run swimming pool and AC units, JPS says. Acting on reports from customers in the past week, the Jamaica Public Service JPS company says it has made significant discoveries of electricity theft in 2 St. Andrew communities. According to JPS, the police arrested a woman at a home where a sophisticated meter bypass was found, serving a swimming pool, air conditioning units, a water heater, and an electric stove. In addition, a direct connection was found at a business place, but the people responsible eluded the police and avoided arrest, the company said. JPS said since January, 33 people have been arrested for electricity theft. This week, the company removed 351 illegal electricity throw-up lines during operations in several communities in the corporate area. The company said this brought the total number of illegal lines removed since the start of the year to almost 63,000. According to JPS, this was made possible thanks to an increase in the number of tips from customers reporting illegal connections. Permanent Secretary outlines Market Me contracts. Market Me Jamaica, the company, now the center of questions surrounding contracts awarded by the Health Ministry and the relationship between the entity and Portfolio Minister Dr Christopher Tufton, was awarded 2 contracts totaling approximately $55 million between December 2016 and June 2019. The 2016 contract was for $15.9 million, and in June last year, the company was awarded a contract for $39 million for the Jamaica Moves program. In both instances, the contracts had not been put to tender. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry Dunstan Bryan made the disclosure yesterday at a Ministry of Health and Wellness press conference called to give an update on the COVID-19 situation in the island. He also said the first contract was an unsolicited proposal which required direct contracting, and that the second contract was a continuation of that arrangement. Bryan also said the ministry has engaged Market Me to carry out its communication strategy for the COVID-19 pandemic. Asked why the ministry opted to use a private contractor instead of the state public relations arm, Jamaica Information Service, JIS, and internal public relations specialists, Bryan said the terms of the contract were for social marketing geared towards promoting health through behavior change, and that it was not a strictly public relations initiative. According to the permanent secretary, within government we have the capacity to do many things. However, there are specific things that need to be outsourced because of the limitations that we have, because dedicated staff have to do multiple things. And when you want to address specific activities, you have to utilize outsourcing. That is why we went this route, because of the specialization and the social marketing component. He insisted that the contracts to Market Me had been approved by the Procurement Commission. Dr. Tufton, who the opposition has called on to outline the nature of his relations with Market Me Jamaica and its principal, and whether he may have used this position to influence the award of the contract, stated that yes, I have a great relationship with Market Me. I think they are an amazing company. They have delivered very effectively during my tenure, and I have no difficulty saying that. They work hard and I've enjoyed working with them. Bryan said there was no recommendation from the minister for Market Me. The recommendation of Market Me is not a function of the minister recommending Market Me. There was an initial unsolicited proposal, and because that contract came to an end, there was a follow-on contract because the work of the Jamaica Moves program continues. So it was a function of the preceding contract and then the follow-on contract, which was justified to the Procurement Commission and approved for the award for the second contract, Bryan said. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.